Imagine standing on the Caribbean coast, the sea calm, the sky clear. Suddenly, a flat gray island of steel appears on the horizon, moving with purpose. This is the USS Gerald R.Ford, the largest and most advanced aircraft carrier ever built by the United States. Its presence alone sends a message. American power is here. For Venezuela, seeing this warship nearby is a direct signal from a nation with which it has a long, troubled history. The carrier embodies everything Venezuela's government opposes: U.S. foreign policy, economic pressure, and military might. Its arrival demands a response, but any misstep could have devastating consequences. Over 1,000 feet long, displacing 100,000 tons, the Ford is a floating city with a crew of over 4,500. Its flight deck launches and lands dozens of advanced jets every hour. When this vessel moves, it carries the full weight of the U.S. military and Washington's political will. Challenging it is like challenging the nation itself. So what happens when a country pushes back? Not with weapons, but with words and symbols. This is the story of Venezuela's confrontation with the USS Gerald R.Ford. A modern drama, unfolding not on a battlefield, but in press conferences, on social media, and in the tense space between international waters and sovereign territory. In the 21st century, the most dangerous conflicts can begin without a single shot. The battle for influence is fought with signals and symbols, where perception is as important as reality. Today, conflict often starts with a statement, not an explosion. This is symbolic warfare, where words and signals challenge rivals without risking direct combat. For Venezuela, under pressure and sanctions, this is one of the few ways to appear strong. Condemning a U.S. warship isn't just about Washington, it's about rallying citizens and signaling allies like Russia and China. Every move, even verbal, is designed to strengthen a position on the global stage. The U.S. Navy sails its carrier through international waters, demonstrating power. Venezuela calls it a provocation, a threat to sovereignty. The U.S. reaffirms its commitment to freedom of navigation. Each side tests the other's resolve, pushing boundaries without crossing into open conflict. The danger is in miscalculation. A nervous pilot or ambiguous command could turn words into a real incident. A Venezuelan patrol boat getting too close, or a U.S. aircraft flying a different path, could be seen as aggression. These symbolic confrontations raise the stakes and shrink the margin for error. The region becomes more volatile, and the world watches closely. In this high-stakes game, perception and restraint are everything. The war of words can be as dangerous as any weapon. The U.S. and Venezuela's strained relationship spans decades. Once, oil bound them together. Venezuela supplied crude, the U.S. invested heavily, but with Hugo Chávez's rise in the late 1990s, everything changed. His socialist revolution set Venezuela on a collision course with Washington. Chávez and Maduro accused the U.S. of imperialism and blamed it for Venezuela's economic woes. The U.S. countered with accusations of corruption and human rights abuses. Sanctions targeted Venezuela's oil industry and officials, crippling the economy. Venezuela turned to Russia and China, conducting joint military exercises and strengthening ties. The U.S. increased its military presence in the Caribbean, conducting patrols seen as threats by Caracas. Both sides use strong rhetoric to rally supporters and condemn opponents. The arrival of the USS Gerald R.Ford is not routine. It's the latest chapter in a long, bitter history. In this environment, every move is loaded with meaning. The USS Gerald R.Ford isn't just a ship, it's the lead of a new class of supercarriers. Commissioned in 2017, it's bigger, faster, and more advanced than anything before. Its EMALS launch system and powerful nuclear reactors allow it to launch more aircraft, more quickly, than any carrier in history. The Ford's advanced radar and self-defense systems make surprise attacks nearly impossible, but it never sails alone. It's the centerpiece of a carrier strike group, protected by cruisers, destroyers, and a nuclear submarine. These escorts provide multi-layered defense against threats from air, sea, or below. Together, they form an almost impenetrable fortress at sea. Challenging this force is a grave mistake. Venezuela knew a direct military challenge was impossible. Instead, Caracas fought on the battlefield of perception. Official statements and state media framed the carrier's presence as aggression. The goal portrayed Venezuela as bravely standing up to a superpower. The defense minister denounced the U.S. patrol as a provocation, declaring the armed forces on high alert. State media broadcast patriotic images, reinforcing the message, "We are not intimidated." Venezuela sent patrol boats to the edge of its waters, avoiding direct confrontation but filming every move. Fighter jets flew along the coast, ensuring their presence was noted by U.S. radar. These were not acts of war, but carefully choreographed military theater. Domestically, this rallied nationalist sentiment and distracted from economic problems. Internationally, it reinforced Venezuela's narrative of being a victim of U.S. aggression. The challenge to the USS Gerald R.Ford was a calculated political move. Words and gestures scored points in a conflict Venezuela could never win militarily. In this standoff, perception was the real battleground. While leaders trade statements, life aboard the USS Gerald R.Ford is relentless. Over 4,500 sailors keep the floating city running. Pilots, engineers, cooks, medics, and more. The flight deck is a place of controlled chaos, where young sailors direct and arm jets under immense pressure. Below deck, officers monitor radar and sensors, tracking every ship and aircraft for hundreds of miles. A Venezuelan patrol boat on radar, or a public threat, is factored into every decision. These sailors are the human element behind the ship's power. They interpret signals, provide intelligence, and keep the mission on track. Daily routines continue: meals, workouts, emails home, amid constant alertness. They know their presence is part of a larger diplomatic mission, living out the consequences of decisions made far away. If Venezuela attacked the USS Gerald R.Ford, the result would be swift and devastating. The gap between the U.S. carrier strike group and Venezuela's military is vast. Any threat would be detected and intercepted long before reaching the carrier. The Ford's layered defenses, cruisers, destroyers, and its own systems would neutralize attacks. FA-18 Super Hornets would quickly establish air superiority and strike at will. Venezuela's military would be neutralized in hours. An attack would give the U.S. full international justification for a massive response. Any remaining support from Maduro would likely vanish. The U.S. could impose a full blockade, causing economic collapse and humanitarian crisis. The consequences would be catastrophic, far worse than current sanctions. A physical challenge would be an act of national suicide. That's why the confrontation remains symbolic. In this standoff, words are safer than weapons. The standoff between Venezuela and the USS Gerald R.Ford teaches a vital lesson. True strength isn't always about showing force. Sometimes it's about restraint. The U.S. Navy let the carrier's presence speak for itself, avoiding escalation. Venezuela, despite fiery rhetoric, knew not to cross the line into direct confrontation. In modern geopolitics, words and symbols are powerful weapons. Leaders use them to shape perception, win support, and avoid costly wars. The real battle is for public opinion and international narrative. Stability depends on understanding power's limits and knowing when to step back. The Ford continued its patrol. Venezuela continued its speeches. No shots were fired. No lives lost. In a tense world, choosing words over weapons is the ultimate sign of wisdom and strength.